Welcome to Potion Craft Suffering Mode. Recently, this challenge became a lot harder. The developers nerfed 3 key areas: your garden, talent point gains, and merchant prices. So today we're diving into my run through this update to see how I challenged these new challenges and attempted to beat the game by creating the ultimate substance, Philosopher's Salt. Right out of the gate, 2 new major nerfs hit hard. You get 75% fewer ingredients from the garden, and you earn 50% fewer talent points, with the previous nerf of making 10 times less profit still in effect. On the previous version, I could play the game pretty normally. That's not happening anymore. When trying the same strategy as last time, spending my early talent points on increasing the amount of ingredients gained per plant for an extra 3 per plant, I started making potions. I figured it would still work, but then I was running out of ingredients, so I reset and went for a different talent. On the actual attempt, I prioritized seeds over herbs. More seeds meant a fuller garden sooner, which also gave more XP from watering and picking all the plants for more talent points in the long run. While I wait for my seeds to duplicate using this talent, let's go over the basics of potion craft. This is a simulation game where you get to make potions, kind of obvious, and then sell them to customers. You make potions on a map that is dependent on the base liquid you use: water, oil, or wine. To make potions, you add ingredients into the cauldron, where each ingredient will move your potion along a specified path. To get effects you want, you line up the bottle with the effect you want. The better you line it up, the greater the effect, then use the bellows to heat it up and lock it in. To get more out of your ingredients, you can use a mortar and pestle to grind them up, revealing a longer path on each ingredient. So most of the time, I fully grind my ingredients first. A couple other ways to manipulate the map are the whirlpools that spin your potion around when you heat up the cauldron. When you reach the center, they will teleport you to a predefined location, some helpful, most not very useful. You always have the option to add base back into your potion. This will bring your potion slowly back to the center, great for perfectly aligning a potion to tier 3. You can put up to 5 effects on a single potion, with tier 2 taking up 2 of those slots and tier 3 taking up 3 of those slots. Back to the garden, it's now full, and I'm raking in enough talent points to finally start to be able to get the upgrades I really need, like increasing herb yield again. Now let's talk about customers. There are 3 nasty customer-related modifiers in Suffering Mode. Extra requirements appear earlier, there's always at least 1 mandatory requirement, often more, and those requirements are mandatory. It's a pain. I suffered through it in my last playthrough, and I'm not doing that again. This time, I had a better idea. A little cheese, if you will. The main reason to talk to customers is for the popularity they give you, which you need to complete chapters. Chapters 10 requiring popularity 15. But here's the thing. If you never finish chapter 1, customers only ever ask for healing, poison, fire, and frost potions, the easiest ones in the game. And if I'm evil, no good aligned customers will come asking for frost. So I just need these 6 potions: weak and strong healing, weak and strong poison, and weak and strong fire. The 2 additional requests customers want right now are specifying the strength of their potion, as well as asking for or rejecting certain ingredients. I skipped the ones that asked for stuff like a fire potion without firebell, and anything that required buying ingredients from merchants. Just not worth it, especially early on, before the seed merchants weren't even available. While I was grinding customers, I was also grinding ingredients. Every day, I harvested my garden, working towards my first goal: a tier 3 stone skin and tier 2 strength potion. Why? Well, it uses a dryad saddle and makes a ton of money. The rest of the garden was focused on growing bone meal to support that. Bone meal being the talent fertilizing herbs and mushrooms with potions that lets you use wild growth, or basically bone meal, to double harvest a plant every day. This isn't enough on its own though. My original recipe was, well, basic. 4 ingredients for that bone meal. Not worth it for 4 ingredients. But I have a saving grace. another talent that lets you brew 5 potions for half the ingredients. Using those 2 talents in tandem, I could mass produce my money-making potion and boost my income through the roof. This took a while though, about 3 hours of brute force customer requests, as the best way to do the customers was to brute force check all 6 potions, instead of looking for keywords in their requests. Once I hit my goal of popularity 15, it was time to close shop to customers. I had what I needed, and with a talent that reduces popularity loss to just 1, I could keep all the bonuses without any of the pain. Goodbye customers, you will not be missed. For Chapter 2, there's nothing I need to buy right now, and the chapter goals are pretty easy. I already did everything but brewing the last potions, explosion northwest, dexterity to the east, and swiftness up south. This chapter isn't very hard, so I complete it quite quickly. Chapter 3 took a bit of waiting. I have to buy a recipe book page, repair the alchemy machine, and discover a few new effects. Not hard, I just need to wait for the traveling alchemist to show up. I unlocked the pond while I was waiting, which doubled my garden space. More room means more herbs, meaning more money for later. On day 111, the cloaked figure appears. I wonder if he'll ever get a purpose, right now he does nothing. The next day, the traveling alchemist visits. Really just the game's key item dispenser. He repairs my alchemy machine and gives me a recipe in exchange for 196 of my best potions. The tier 3 stone skin and tier 2 strength potion. Chapter 4 is another easy one. I don't need the alchemist to show up again, and I've already got the machine fixed, so I just need to find the effects and create our first substance, Gerudo, using the repaired machine. Then I got the effects, slowness, rage, magical vision, and charm. Soon after, the druid shows up. I finally get to start upgrading my ingredients. He brought tangleweed. This plant is great. Mid-range, goes underwater, and looks like an extreme roller coaster. Wait, you need a talent point to plant underwater? Well, luckily I have 1 left. Next thing I get offered, the void salt recipe. It costs 20,000 gold. That feels like a lot, but as I don't pay full price for anything, thanks to haggling talents, I only need to offer around 6.7 thousand potions. Haggling boosts my offer by 50% and cuts theirs in half. I take that price instead. I create void salt easily. It's just a bunch of basic potions. The only hard one is the 5 effect potion, but I have that as well. Chapters 2 through 5 all have a requirement of creating a potion with a certain amount of effects. As you can complete all these tasks together with just 1 5 effect potion, and I knew this combo of effects would serve me well, I completed this back in Chapter 2. Now that I'm really playing the game, I can now complete merchant requests. These allow me to upgrade said merchants, giving me access to mostly better seeds for my garden, as well as the opportunity to upgrade the garden itself. Then the alchemist comes back, this time wanting 30,000 gold for the next chapter. That's quite a bit. At this stage of the run, it translates to nearly 1,000 potions. But hey, I've been stockpiling. I trade and can move on to Chapter 6. You might have noticed that there is not very much potion making going on. This is mostly because you make all the interesting potions at the end of the game, so I decided to skip the easy ones because I value your time. With Necromancy completed, I use this trap to collect a very big experience book and then finish the chapter. With the chapter wrapped up, I'm now waiting on my next unlock, the oil base. While waiting, I get offered Thunder Thistle seeds, and with them access to a new direction for potion making, northeast. I also have progressed enough to unlock the next part of my garden. The cave isn't particularly exciting at first. I spend a mountain of stone skin potions to buy access, and the only thing I can grow there is stink mushrooms. But hey, it's a start, and in a bit I unlock the marshroom and the mudshroom, and those two slowly begin to replace the stink shrooms. They're much better, one being a straight upgrade in length, and the other allowing me to improve on 2 key recipes in this stage in the game. The first is shaving off an ingredient for the potion I've been using to make money. Instead of 3 dryad saddles, I can now just use a single dryad saddle and a mudshroom for the same effects. The second one is that I can finally make an improved version of my bone meal recipe. I'm still using the same 4 ingredients, but a mudshroom and a tangleweed with really, and I mean really precise movement can get us there using 100% of both. Next, the Alchemist shows up. Yep, he's literally every progression check in this game with the oil base. Costing 40,000, it drains me quite a bit. Feels like my money pile has a leak. But with oil unlocked, Chapter 6 becomes, well, easy. Oil base has a new obstacle. I'll call them oil spills. Going through them reduces the distance traveled by around half. So, while not deadly, they're usually best avoided, especially with odd paths. With a bunch of single effect potions, I create albedo, the second substance, finishing the chapter. Then, I invest 85% of my wealth into crystals. These are expensive ingredients, the area to grow them costing around 36,000, and the 3 buds to grow in there costing 32,000. While this doesn't help me on my path, crystals can allow me to teleport, or, in my mind, potentially profit. I hope in the next 70 days I will at minimum break even with my investment and give me access to teleporting. The Druid visits again, bringing a fresh haul of excellent herbs. Druid's Rosemary, Feather Bloom, and Lava Root, as well as 2 more Tangleweed, as I still haven't gotten a second seed, meaning I can't craft enough bone meal, meaning I'm still using my bad recipe. The other ingredients are straight upgrades of the starter ones. On day 144, I can finally afford one of the next items. It's a toss-up, but I go with Moon Salt. Why? Because Moon Salt allows for rotation, and with it, a much easier way to make potions. And right after that, the Druid shows up again. This time he brings the good stuff. Thorn Stick, Bloodthorn, and Whirlweed. These are new ingredients that will improve my potion a lot. With Bloodthorn, I can finally go northwest. Thorn Stick gives me a good alternative to the mushroom, and Whirlweed is the longest ingredient going up. Day 152, I check in with the Alchemist again. I'm close, only 5,000 gold away from the next upgrade. That's maybe another 200 potions, give or take. So I look through my stash of leftover herbs and decide to burn through it with a Charm and Levitation combo potion. Don't ask me what that's supposed to do. Anyway, they're compatible, so he accepts. I overshoot a little. I craft around 400 potions when I only needed 173, but something cool happens. I notice the trade says fair trade. A nice addition from the devs. It's a small thing, but it makes me happy they covered this scenario. And to top it off as the best day in the run, the Mushroom Hag shows up, and her inventory is cracked. Water Cap is the longest water ingredient in the game, Phantom Skirt is the mushroom cheat code, and just for fun, I grab a Shadow Chanterelle because I wanted an alternative to Thunder Thistle. The next thing I do is craft Moon Salt. Lightning plus Dexterity, Dexterity plus Magical Vision, and Invisibility plus Levitation are the 3 multi-effect potions needed, making me use my first crystal to skip going the long way. The rest are single effects I already have saved. Then I finish off getting all the effects I need from the oil base to finish Chapter 7. I buy Flame Lead for variety, and soon hit the next roadblock, Sun Salt, costing 120k, and Wine, while optional, another 60k, because I will need it to make money later. It's time to set up for late game, and prepping my garden is the first thing I get to do. I already have Whirlweed for north, Water Cap for east, Mudshroom for south, and Lava Root for west, as well as Phantom Skirt for Phantom Skirt. Grasping Root has its own area in the garden for northwest, and I was bored so I bought a chest set to offset that. The Druid brings Spell Bloom for northeast, and Druid's Rosemary for southeast, both on sale so I don't overspend. With all these new ingredients, I took some time to recreate all my old recipes that use the starting ingredients, and replace them with recipes using the better ingredients, as well as skipping through the next 20 days to fill out my garden and stockpile those new ingredients. Crystals had the largest difference and sound pretty nice, so I chose this area for my time-lapse. As you can see, Fire Citrine was the winner of RNG, with Blood Ruby in second place, Earth Pyrite with the worst luck of the 3. Going back a bit, I recreated moon salt, as I'm going to need a lot of it to make money, going from 110 ingredients to just 64. I also easily create the next crystal Saturnitus, again, with all just single effect potions. With moon salt, I can now show you why Phantom Skirt is Phantom Skirt. A single one of these with perfect movement and 400 salt gets me tier 3 invisibility, and I use this to buy wine. All of my chapter requirement effects are way easier to get on wine, so I finished that too. The next time he comes around, I feel ready to break the bank, so I craft all the invisibility I can, along with the last of my stone skin, and add in 1,500 crystals to make the difference. I drop in fire, light, enlargement, libido, lightning, and poison protection, now needing to craft the other 3 mildly hard potions. I have now learned that if I want to use map tracking, I can't move the map at all. I remembered a decent explosion fire recipe that I've used before, so I just crafted that again. Starting from light and going to magical vision wasn't too bad either, and as a bonus I didn't move the map. And that is Sun Salt. Rubido is all I need to finish the chapter and move on to chapter 10. Bone Meal, Healing, Poison and Acid Protection, Rejuvenation, Lightning Protection, Acid, Glue, Anti-Magic, Fear, and Libido. The last one is Necromancy, and I can now create a great recipe for it. Guess the ingredient. That's right, it's Phantom Skirt. First waste the start, then pour around 200 moon salt. Carefully go straight through the bone fragments with sun salt to straighten the path, add base for more health, dodge the bones, and add in more sun salt, then try to line up the trembling potion to tier 3, and add in the rest of the sun salt. And I also need Saturnitus to finish that, so I craft one. I don't have the crystal. I need the orange crystal, or yeah, this one. Okay. Yay. Rubido and chapter 9. Alright, well I can immediately make Philosopher's Stone if you want to do that. I first actually want to see how much money I need, because that's going to be the real kicker, and then we can go. So, what did you want? Oh, you wanted luck. We did all this so that you could get your luck potion, actually. And I can collect my books, sure. Yeah, we did all this so I could get your luck potion. That was the reason we took that intermission. In my garden, I've set aside a third of it for a certain ingredient, and the rest to cover the other directions, as well as crystals. It's time to see how much I actually need. The answer is 360,000. Well, let's see what I actually need. Max Haggle cuts that in half, and also gives my potions a 1.5 times price boost, with the most profitable potions being Necromancy at 35 gold per. I'm going to need around 3,500 of those. Even less because I already have 12,000 saved up from collecting crystals. I craft 300,000 Sun Salt to see what ingredients I need more of. And my most used one is Lava Root. I only have 2 in my garden right now, so I doubled it to 4. Then farm for the next week. I hopefully have enough to afford everything I need now. To improve the price of my crystals, I throw 3 into the pot with some salt. This turns around 15 gold into 35 gold. Quite nice. Also a great way to showcase why crystals are busted on the wine map. I carefully line it up to tier 3, having to go grain by grain. Eventually, it looks like it will hit, and I go for it. I can do the same thing with Earth Pyrite. 3 of those, and more Sun Salt, gives me another Necromancy recipe. I craft 1,000 Necromancy with Earth Pyrite and Sun Salt, another 1,400 with Fire Citrine and Moon Salt. This spent all my Moon Salt, and my improved Moon Salt recipe requires some Moon Salt to craft it. So I remake invisibility without salt so that I have a backup in case that happens again. I ran out of Lava Root again after crafting the last of my Moon Salt. Checking on how much I need, I chuck my whole inventory into the trade window, and it seems I'm close. So I craft a bit more Necromancy with a Phantom Skirt recipe, putting me at a 5-star haggle with 3,000 Necromancy potions. We do. With, oh my god, talent points go away. I want to know how much Necromancy does this guy want for his recipes? He wants 3,000. With my last purchase of Life and Philosopher's Salt acquired, the last thing I need to do is craft them. I need to craft 7 potions for Life Salt, 6 harder potions for Philosopher's Stone, and 12 very hard potions for Philosopher's Salt. While I do that, I want to give my opinion about this update. 2.0 completely changed the game, reworking the garden, reworking the talent system, and adding the wine base, and more. 2.0.2 added mostly balance changes. Most of these might sound negative. This is because I think the developers are already working on improvements. For instance, the next feature they're working on is adding even more ingredients in the form of monster parts. The added grind to suffering mode, while living up to its name, isn't really a challenge to an experienced player. Instead, it feels more like I now just have to spend an extra 100 days grinding ingredients for the sake of difficulty. Here are some ways I can think to improve, specifically the suffering mode experience. First off, we have legendary recipes. These got changed, and I personally prefer the old version, or the harder version. If you didn't notice, every single crystal except Philosopher's Stone required only single effect potions, with no multi-effects required. This basically means they aren't a challenge at all, and I can go into my recipe book and I will find I have either every effect or all but one already ready to go. Previously, this wasn't the case. I have a chart showcasing how easy these new recipes are compared to the old ones. It's not even close. I can understand making the game easier, kind of. But as you also added different difficulties, I feel like for Grandmaster and Suffering, it would be better to use the old recipes as a challenge instead of simply making the game about grinding in the garden. As I said, adding grinding isn't fun, and it isn't well implemented either. You're not crafting potions, simply waiting for the number on your bulk brew to get high enough so that you can purchase the next item. I think a way to at least help the issue would be to add ways to give the player more control over the shop. The first thing would be customers right now force you to sit there for at least 15 seconds rejecting them if you don't want to see them. Right now in suffering mode, customers aren't worth it. So I would change 2 things. One would be to allow the player to lean into it. Adding a shop closed sign blocking all customers from showing up. It's our shop, we should be able to choose when it's open. This could be bought from the handyman and would probably lose you popularity every day you have it closed. Maybe if you close it more than 2 days a week for weekends or something. The second is to simply have customers give more money. If I can sell 4 potions to a merchant for the same price as a customer, this taking only twice the ingredients because every customer requires a custom potion and I can bulk brew to merchants, it seems pretty obvious that I'll choose merchants. You've already nerfed merchants, try buffing customers. Speaking of merchants, when playing around the day counter instead of ignoring it like this run, I always found it annoying to deal with the RNG of when the traveling alchemist shows up. Right now, he shows up around every 3 to 5 days. It seems it's a nitpick, but I would like an option to buy a way to contact him, maybe something like a messenger pigeon, to contact him the day before you want him to show up, with the cooldown still of like 2 or 3 days, and he shows up the next day after you send the message. This just lessens the RNG and makes the game more fun, for me at least. For the garden, nerfing yield, while annoying, makes sense. The garden is by far the greatest change in difficulty from 1.0, where you had to buy almost all your ingredients in that version. I went from caring about ingredient prices to caring about ingredients spent. Price of the ingredient didn't matter. Again, easier is actually more fun here, and it is what allows for the harder difficulties to be possible. The changes I have for it are mostly because it's so OP, I feel like I would be playing horribly if I missed a day of gardening, even in the easier difficulties. And the garden takes a while. You have to water it, and if you really want to play optimally, you have to bone meal it too. My first change is to rework bone meal. They tried nerfing it this update, but it didn't really change much. The only way to make fast growth upgrades useful is to rework it. So that's what I propose. One of the main reasons to bone meal is to get another 5% chance for a seed every day. I want bone meal to only do that. Give another shot at a seed when used, probably 5% normally and 10% with the seed talent, so no more double harvest. That affects some talents, but I don't know what to do about that. And this would make fast growth a talent I might actually get. The other thing is watering. The more you upgrade your garden, the longer this takes. It's not too bad for the first area, fine for the second area, but by the third area, it feels like I'm spending a lot of time on it. I would add another useful item, being some sort of faster method, either like a better watering can, removing the need to water stuff on the tree, or some way to speed it up in the late game. I would say add sprinklers, but that might not fit the theme of the game. At the same time, it could work fine. Auto-watered plants could take a slight nerf to production. And speaking of the tree, please improve the hitboxes on the back of the tree being like 5 pixels. It's quite annoying. There are also no tool upgrades, even though we have this menu, so I would hope to eventually see ways to improve your potion making tools, like a super fast spoon, coolant, or better bellows, etc. Just to make the game feel like you're, improving your potion making stuff as well. And on the topic of making potions, I hope the developers have noticed they made salt way too cheap. For an optimal recipe of salts, it costs 1 ingredient for 700 moon salt, and over 900 for sun salt. For reference, my recipes this run were around 470 moon salt to an ingredient, and around 555 for sun salt. This is around half a rotation, so I can turn any left-moving ingredients into right-moving ingredients for the cost of a single ingredient. You can see the phantom skirt, can't you? It's just a little too broken. I don't know. I would either entirely remove the 3 times salt talent or nerf it hard. We already have bulk brewing to half the cost of salt already. Finally, I want to talk about the wine map. This map, while was a great idea, I feel like it is way too easily bypassed. You heal slowly on this map, and the whole thing is covered in weak bones. But if you use crystals that you have thousands of because of the grotto, they will heal you if you avoid the bones, because while teleporting you are also healing. This is a problem because wine is the smallest map, meaning crystals already have a pretty good length of the map. And with this last potion, Philosopher's Salt is complete. This moves and aligns your potion to the nearest effect. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a like. Otherwise, I'll see you next time I pop up on your home screen.